Hello and welcome to Young Turks. I'm Shireen Bhan. Over the next 30 minutes, we get on the road to bring you some of India's hottest young entrepreneurs. On the Young Turks tutorial, we give a chance to a young startup to be mentored live on television. And on the Young Turks Buzz, we tell you about everything that's hot and happening in the world of entrepreneurship. Here's a quick glimpse of what we have lined up. Guest is a serial entrepreneur from the Valley, and he's now betting big on the sun. That's right, Inderpreet Wadhwa set up Azure Power to bet on the opportunities that solar power throws up in India. He's already set up his first power plant in Punjab, and he's targeting 100 megawatts over the next 3 years. Here's Inderpreet Wadhwa on Young Turks on the Road.
Basking in the sun, quite literally, our guest today, Inderpreet Wadhwa, has to his name India's first commercial solar power plant. His venture Azure Power already has 30 megawatts of power plants under development across the country, and he now hopes to make India a solar superpower by 2017. Here is how. This entrepreneur from Silicon Valley always wanted to return to India and create a business that was socially relevant. So Inderpreet Wadhwa launched Azure Power in 2007 to power India's energy needs with his solar solution. Azure Power set up its first solar power grid in Amritsar in 2009, and since then the project has generated 23 lakh kilowatt of clean energy to light up the lives of 20,000 households in rural Punjab. The company is yet to see returns flowing in, but Inderpreet is convinced that solar power in India is a long-term business.
Its scale, size and the opportunity. I mean, you can deploy solar for a small lantern, you can deploy solar for a street light, you can do solar on a rooftop of the parliament. In general sense, you can do solar in any size, any scale and any location in India. That makes the market so huge.
Solar power today is still a complementary source of energy, while at Azure you're trying to create solar grids to make it a primary source. How are you going about doing that?
I think I would still say it is somewhat complementary. It's not always primary, but there are lots of primary opportunities, like areas where the grid is never going to go, or it is much difficult to build a long-term grid. Also, you also look at peak demands, like opportunities where energy requirement is during the day, not at night time, like schools and hospitals, and a lot of the agriculture also is done during daytime and not at night time. The other thing is diesel gensets. I mean, India has almost 50,000 megawatt of standby diesel genset capacity. Okay. So where diesel is burned mostly during the day, when there is power shortage, when there is more requirement of energy. So solar lends itself really well to reduce your cost of energy during peak times. Yeah. So I don't generally emphasize that solar is the only solution. It is a good mix. It is a solution where you have high cost of power or there is no power.
What is the cost of generating electricity via solar, and what is the business model that you've designed around the venture?
From a business model perspective, our model is very simple. We have a 30-year power purchase agreement with the State Electricity Board, Punjab State Electricity Board, where we are selling them energy, and then from their substation they take care of the distribution, payments and collection of those 32 villages. So we don't get into the endpoint distribution. We generate the energy and give it to the nearest interconnect point. The value of solar is in the long term, not in the short term. It is very clear. It is capital intensive. The cost of energy is high in context to today's cost of energy in the retail market. But we can predict the cost in a 20-year period. So if today we are working with utilities, so utilities do a 20-year agreement or 25-year agreement. In Gujarat we have a 25-year agreement with Gujarat Urja Vikas Nigam. Okay. So our cost to them is 15 rupees a unit for the first 12 years. Okay. Then it drops to 5 rupees a unit in year 13 and goes up to 5 rupees for year 25. Okay. So now if I am the utility, 13 years from today, how many sources of power will be available at 5 rupees a unit? Not a whole lot.
Today, Azure Power has under development 30 megawatts of solar grid power plants across Rajasthan, Gujarat, Haryana and Karnataka. Seed money came from foundation capital and Helion venture partners, and Azure's sustainable business model has also attracted investments of close to $50 million from International Finance Corporation and Overseas Private Investment Corporation. While Inderpreet believes that being an early mover in the renewable energy sector in India has helped, doing business has not been easy.
So from a first mover advantages, like today we can demonstrate that we've developed something that has not been done before. So the fact that we had a project running in Punjab was helpful in getting contracts in states like Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat. That always helps. Having said that, the second movers always learn from the mistakes of the first mover. Since we are doing it for the first time, lot of agencies we work with don't really understand solar. So we have to spend a lot of time educating people, lot of time educating the employees that we hire, because they've never seen a 5 megawatt grid connected solar power plant in life. So it's challenging but interesting from the market perspectives.
Is this a very competitive space?
Within a matter of 2 years, we've gone from 20 developers to 400 developers.
Okay.
So the interest is clearly there.
Okay.
Now in terms of whether these 400 players become 400 competitors, I don't believe so. Like any other new sector, there's always a lot of excitement in the beginning, and then things distill down to serious players. So I would expect 40, 50, good players in the market.
So what do you feel, what more needs to be done in order to promote solar in India?
I was actually amazed by looking at the Indian Grid Code or the Electricity Act. It is so comprehensive that one can't imagine sitting outside the sector. So while nobody has done solar before, but there's a lot of other types of power that has already been done. The challenge lies in what do you need for solar. So it's not like when we sit across the table from a regulator or from a utility that they don't know how to do it. They just need to be educated what are the properties of the solar plant, and then how do you match those properties to the grid code.
Supporting solar innovations, the National Solar Mission has drafted a roadmap to generate 20,000 megawatts of power by 2022. A step Inderpreet believes will encourage entrepreneurs to cash in on this clean tech opportunity. Targeting 100 megawatt capacity, Inderpreet sees Azure break even by 2017.
First tipping point will be competition with retail energy prices. So retail energy prices in India vary from 6 to 8 rupees a unit. So when we can hit 6 to 8 rupees a unit, then you can see a lot of private distribution companies getting in and trying to sell solar. Then you can compete with all other sources of energy.
By what time frame are you looking to hit the 6 to 8 rupee band?
We believe that in 2017 we should be able to sell energy at retail parity 8 rupees or so.
Clean tech businesses have been a favorite among investors, both strategic and institutional. Do you feel the trend is still bullish?
You can always find good investors if you have a good business.
Okay.
But there's been a lot of buzz in clean tech.
Yes.
And once the buzz comes out, then from an investor community perspective, everybody must have a portfolio of clean tech.
Yeah.
I think if you look at 2010, almost 25% of venture capital money in North America went into clean tech. Okay. So there's still a big chunk of capital flowing into clean tech, and I think will continue to flow for next 20-30 years.
Today, solar energy is at least 5 times the cost of any other conventional source of energy. By what time are you looking to make money at Azure?
It's important to realize, while of course this is expensive, but then our offtake agreements are also in line with the cost structure. And we generally do our projects that are green from like year 2. But we need to continue to invest more in R&D and growth of the market, growth of the business. So we expect within a period of 3 to 5 years, we'll start generating profits and paying more taxes.
You spoke about R&D. How significant is R&D for a business like this? What have you designed for R&D at Azure, and what's the kind of money that goes into creating these technologies?
10% of our budget is allocated towards R&D, and R&D is about focusing on technologies that will reduce the cost of generation. So we don't manufacture anything in-house,
yes,
but we invest in picking the right technologies.
Is there a plan to set up a manufacturing facility in India?
Definitely, I think we have plans of doing that, but I think at this point we are more focused on creating good assets, and there's also a lot of competition out in the market on different types of technologies. When we are ready to place a bet on one technology, then we will consider manufacturing. At this point, we want to pick what is more appropriate for a given project.
So what are your future plans? How many megawatts of power are you looking to generate? What are your growth targets?
So our focus has always been like get to like 100 megawatts, right? So our portfolio of 100 megawatts by year 2014, 2013 is what we intend to do. So we expect about 70-30, 70 megawatts in utilities, 30 megawatts in commercial sector.
And how many projects are we talking about?
So roughly we're talking about 20 to 30 projects. So Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Meghalaya and Karnataka. Those are the states that we've been active in.
So by when can we see solar power at parity as any other source of power?
2020.
Okay. We wish you all the power. Inderpreet, thank you so much for joining us on Young Turks.
Thank you.
More power to you, Inderpreet. Time for us to take a break, but when we return, the founders of GuruVantage.com get some Guru Gyan from Sandeep Sinha of Loomis Partners on the Young Turks tutorial.